Back with us on the SportsMax Zone, Jamaica's Reggae girls are one win away from qualifying for their second successive FIFA World Cup tournament. The permutations, simple. Beat Haiti in their Group A CONCACAF Women's Championship clash in Mexico later on this Monday, and they will qualify for the 2023 FIFA World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. The Reggae girls are third in the group on 3 points, the same as Haiti, but are behind their Caribbean rivals on goal difference. Group leaders USA are already through to the World Cup finals. In Group B, Canada and Costa Rica are already through to the World Cup finals, topping the group on maximum 6 points with an identical +7 goal difference. Trinidad and Tobago are bottom of the group, having lost both their games, but they can pinch that third spot if they beat Panama in their last game later on this Monday. Note that the teams that finished third in Groups A and B will move on to an intercontinental playoff for a World Cup place. So the night is not exceedingly dark for TNT. There's still an outside shot that they can keep their World Cup qualification hopes alive. Now, Jamaica and Haiti have met twice before in the CONCACAF Women's Championship, with Haiti winning both matches, the last being a 2-1 win 10 years ago. The Reggae girls skipper Khadija Bonishaw and head coach Lauren Donaldson gave their thoughts ahead of what, for the Reggae girls, is a must-win clash.
We've been down this journey before. When we qualified for the World Cup and we beat Panama, we lost to the US. So this is not new to us. It's just to bounce back, and we know what's at stake. So it's just to regroup, look at our mistakes, and hopefully not let it happen in the next game. They're a physical team. Despite whatever, they always get the job done, and I think that's credit to them. And I think going into that game, we just have to match that physicality and effort, and play our game at the end of the day, play our style of play. And I think once we come out and we do what we know we can do best, I think we can get the job.
Before the tournament, I always say and thought that the Asians are a very good team, and they have proven it. They are a quality team, quality coach, quality players, and one of the hardest working team I have seen. So we're in for a very difficult match tomorrow, because it's going to be, they're just very, very resilient, and again, they have quality. Well, and that's what I just said. It's a team that's very fit, and they're not going to give up. And tactically, we have to get it right. We have to try to exploit them in certain areas of the field. And it's a must win for us, so we can't go out there and have a defensive mindset. And I'm sure the Asian is going to be, they're very good defensively. They're going to bunker in and try to counterattack. So we have to pick our time when to go, but our possession game has to be a lot better. We have to keep possession and get forward.
That's Lauren Donaldson, and before him, Khadija Bonishaw, the Reggae girls' star striker, and our senior writer at SportsMax.tv, Leighton Levy. You know him as a track and field expert, but he is an around the compass sportsman. He joins us now to preview the contest. Good afternoon, Leighton.
Hey, George, how are you doing? I mean, I don't think you need anything from me. You just heard Lord Donaldson say everything I needed to do.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. You've been raging at the proverbial machine in some private messages to me as the Reggae girls have been playing these matches, pointing out certain things that you would have liked to have seen. What is true, though, Leighton, is that it would have always come down to this. It would have always come down to the Haiti game when the Reggae girls got the fixtures before kicking a ball first in this tournament. And they would have looked at the fixtures and said, okay, our aim is 6 points against Mexico and Haiti, and see where that takes us, because we can set aside the US fixture because we aren't going to get anything from that. So it has gone according to plan. It's now for the girls to go and finish the job. Can they beat this Haitian team based on what you've seen from them and what you've seen from our friends from elsewhere in the Caribbean?
Absolutely. I think Jamaica has a chance of winning this match as well as Haiti does. The thing is, as you heard Lord Donaldson say a while ago, the possession has to be better. What Jamaica does when they have the ball is going to be crucial to how this game eventually turns out. No more silly turnovers. They need to be able to control the tempo. Of course, I think Mexico is going to play exactly as Jamaica expects them to play, in a low block 4-4-2, and try to beat on the counter. They have two amazing playmakers in De Mornay and, of course, Borgella, who Jamaica have to be careful against. The worry that Jamaica might have is Danisha Blackwood is out with the yellow card. So in comes Satana Murray, who is playing with the team for the first time after she was cleared by FIFA to play. she's going to need a lot of support on in that left back position, because if she doesn't, you will see what happened against the United States could possibly happen against Haiti, especially if we turn the ball over in midfield, because the two Haitian girls up front are really quick and they're really good on the ball. So I think if Jamaica can control Haiti in not giving them those spaces to play, pass well, find Bunny Shaw, find Jodie Carter, or whoever that should, Jodie Brown, sorry, or Jodie Carter. I would start Jodie Carter. Just thinking that in my, in terms of the ability to get goals. I think Jamaica can come out of this game, 2-0 winners. I think the defense is solid, but it has to be better. I mean, against the United States, they were at 6s and 7s. The midfield selections have to be crucial. I don't want to see Havana Salone in that midfield. I want to see Drew Spence, perhaps Sampson. Kayla McCoy is good in the midfield. All of them are better passers and they're more composed on the ball, because we can't afford to be giving away the ball in our final third and in midfield. Where
Speaking of composure on the ball, Lane, isn't that the key though? Because as we saw against the United States and against Haiti, the pass completion for the Jamaicans poor by international standards, yeah? So isn't it obvious that what the Haitians will try to do is to pressure whomever has their foot on the ball? Because, of course, if you have a team that you don't have natural ball handlers in the middle of the park to speak with, to start with, that if you pressure someone who's not comfortable on the ball, then you increase significantly your chance of winning the ball, increase the likelihood of them turning it over. Isn't that going to be the key thing? If Jamaica can't pass it well and can't possess it, we can forget about a win, we can forget about automatic qualification, and the success of the team will rest in whether the system allows the girls to cover for each other, and then the individuals, because it's not a systemic issue, the individuals can rise to the challenge of taking care of the football when they have it in their possession.
Absolutely, because the key thing here is that the pressure is on Jamaica. Jamaica has to win this game. All Haiti has to do is draw. So the reality is, this is the game that puts pressure on Jamaica before the game starts and during the game. So I don't think Haiti is going to do anything except Jamaica's going to have space to play in their half, I think. But once they cross that half line, there will be no space. They'll be on a low block. There'll be no space in between the lines. They won't be able to get behind the fullbacks or even into the space to threaten the centre backs. So you're right, George. You're going to have to be very good with the passing, very composed. If you can't find the space, be patient, start the rotation again until you can find an opening. Because if they don't, they're going to fall into the Haitian trap around those counters and eventually perhaps give up a goal. And they also have to be careful early in the game as well, not for those silly moments where it seems that we have a problem settling quickly. And if the Jamaica does not do that, then the Haitians could pounce. But you're dead right. The passing has to be on point. The Haitians are not much better either. They were 57% against Haiti. So if we pressure them, they might fall into those same issues as well. The thing is that they don't have to win this game at all. All they have to do is to prevent Jamaica from scoring.
Leighton, what was very clear is that after the first half, the Jamaica Reggae girls looked a bit tired, out of breath against the USA. Do you expect Coach Donaldson to make any major changes from the team that played against USA for tonight's game?
No, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think for me, the changes will have to come in midfield. I think Jodie Brown up front and Bunny Shaw are set. The defenders are fine. Denisha Blackwood is out. But Tatana Murray comes in. She hasn't played. We don't know anything about her fitness yet because, we really don't know. Nobody said anything about how fit she is. Tierney Wilshire is fine. I mean, she had some cramps the last game, but I don't think she'll do as much running against Haiti as she will against Haiti. She won't do as much running against Haiti as she did against the United States. And I think the two centre-backs, the Swibbie sisters, are fine. So I don't think much change will come in those positions, but I do believe that we need to have a more composed and a stronger and more solid midfield with players who are not likely to panic on the ball and to be more composed and be able to find our front runners in Jodie Brown and, of course, Bunny Shaw. The key thing here is how well our midfield plays. If our midfield doesn't play well, Jamaica will lose this game or will draw this game and eventually have to then find themselves in a 10-team playoff because Haiti doesn't have to score a goal, they just have to prevent us from scoring.
Yeah, and in that soundbite with Khadija Bunny Shaw, she said that, they are fully aware of what's at stake. This is not something new to them. And of course, she drew on the example. Do you feel as if, just the pressure of everything that's at stake? We heard from Khadija, she always appears calm. It will be weighing on the rest of the players that may affect them negatively?
Yes and no. I think, most of these players are professional players. They're used to high pressure situations. The key thing is that the leadership of this team in Bunny Shaw is the person who has to carry this team on their back. Great players, no matter how good your team is, there are moments when your great players have to rise to the occasion. And to be honest, we haven't seen much from her in this tournament so far. The goal against Mexico, but from that aside, there was another mischance against Mexico, but she was virtually invisible against the United States. She did nothing to impact the game against the U.S. She has to take this game on her shoulder as a team leader, as the purported best player on the squad, and lead this team to victory, because she can, but she needs to do it more consistently, and I think this is another opportunity for her to do so.
Yeah, Leighton, based on mindset going into the game, it's a fact that the Haitians only need to avoid defeat in this match to get a direct spot to the World Cup. But could this, in a way, help the Jamaica team? Because Jamaica will be forced to go out for a victory, which means that they will have to play an open game and go in an attacking mindset. Is that, in a way, possibly a beneficial attitude for the Jamaica team?
Yes, it has to be. I don't think they have another option. The key thing is there, the only thing that Jamaica has to worry about is whether or not Mexico can upset the United States, which is unlikely to happen. So they'll finish third in the group, most likely, if they lose this game. So they have to take calculated risks to try to win this game. They can't, of course, be careless with it, but they have to take the necessary risks to get on goal for Haiti and score. Because I don't think they have another option. I don't think they want to go into a 10-team playoff and nobody knows what's going to happen there. You want to get it done now. And I think the only approach that Jamaica can take is to go all out to win this game. And of course, be cautious and not to give up, easy opportunities for the Haitians to score, because they will take those chances. They have a really good free kick taker in Shirley Judy, who, as we saw, scored that in the introduction, scored that goal against Mexico. And of course, as I mentioned before, Demorne and Borget are players you don't want to give space, because they will destroy you. And the way Jamaica plays or has been playing in this tournament, their fullbacks especially don't get enough support from their midfield. So there's always extra space for the Haitians to attack down the flanks. So Jamaica has to be careful how they're set up. They have to keep their shape, they have to be disciplined, and they have to be patient, but they have to take the necessary risks to win this game.
Yeah. Coach Lauren Donaldson said ahead of the series, Leighton, that the team is underprepared, both technically and physically. And he did suggest that they would have to use the tournament to get themselves into peak form. Could we deduce from those words that in their third game of the series, they will be at their best, since he would have had more time now with the players?
We can hope. 2 matches would get the players match fit, or get them on the way to being match fit. But we saw some signs against the United States with the pace that the U.S. were playing, that the midfield players were dead on their feet, because they were they had to be running the length of the field both ways, and they just couldn't cope, which is why the United States ran rampant in the second half. And of course, I think it broke their spirit in the second half as well. So yeah, I think the match fitness will be better, but I don't think the players are at the level of fitness that they needed to have been in this tournament. I think, as we had discussed earlier, I think last week when I was on set with George, the fact that the absence of practice matches has impacted on this team, and you could see it especially against United. You saw it against Haiti in the last 25 minutes, but
against Mexico.
Mexico, but against the United States, it was clear from half an hour in the Americans were running the team ragged. So hopefully, because Haiti will more or less be playing on a low block, I think Jamaica, the running will not necessarily be as intense as it was in the U.S. game. So I think the Jamaicans will probably manage to get through this game relatively unscathed as it relates to their fitness, Lance. But the reality is that we have to go full tilt and try to win this game.
Hear you on that. Well, all questions will be answered a few hours from now. Let's wish the Reggae Girls all the best, and let's wish TNT all the best as well as they try to beat Panama and take third in that Group B, which of course puts them into that pot of 10. Thank you very much for your time, Leighton. All the best.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Break time on the SportsMax Zone. Now back with more after these.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.